Hi everyone, welcome back to this week Weekly Market Update. So, as usual, let's take a look what's happening on last week and things to watch out for. And definitely, there's one counter we like to indicate and like to share with you guys, which I think there's a chance of explosive movement on this selective stock counter. You can say that it's FOMO, fear of missing out. You can say that it's speculations, but definitely I think, that is the futures that we are heading into, probably for this year or the news should be speculated over the next 1 or 2 months. We will come into that counter selectively. Particularly later on. So, firstly, let's take a look what's happening on last week. So, last Friday we can see that Dow closed nearly 170 point higher. S&P and Nasdaq post worst week since December. I think mainly if you guys know, there's a big news out there going on is due to Google. All right, that is due to Google not doing well on their this new launch technology AI to compare to this chat GPT is called Bard. I think during one of the show, right, Bard actually have some issue when they are trying to show out this announcement, right, and it caused the shares to plunge 9%. Regards to this, right, maybe one of the big deals that actually caused the market to drop. But ultimately, right, if you read on the news itself, right, you can see that investor is actually digested the most recent interest rate hike, economy data, and the recent commentary from this Fed speaker. Reason being, right, the data that come out previous week, like I mentioned, non-farm payroll is way too good. So since the data is too good, is it a correct time to reduce their interest rate hike, or they can actually just continue to maintain it, increase to 0.5 basis point or 0.25 basis point, but for more times than just 2 times that what they promised, if I'm not wrong. All right. So I think this is of the fear at the market at the moment. All right. So there's a lot of signal coming out, especially for this week, right? Things to watch out for is actually this US CPI data. All right. Consumer Purchase Index. Take note, this data is very important compared to last few months CPI. All right. Eventually, it's the same thing. Every month there will be a US CPI coming out. Say how does the sentiments from the consumer on the last month purchasing power, right? But why this month is so important is because last week non-farm payroll unemployment rate is at the high side. Everything is good. Even after so many interest rate hike, everything is still good. So if let's say consumer continue to buy, right, it means that Fed, what they worry about, it will reduce the purchasing, right, will be a bit negligible, correct or not? So they may continue to even be more aggressive in the rate hike. That's why good news will be bad news for this time round. So this CPI data, if let's say it come above the forecast or way above, right, I think the market may tank at this point of time. So do watch out on this US CPI on Tuesday itself. Okay, so that is the biggest news events that the market is watching on. Okay, so on Friday itself, not only on that, we can see that Leaf disappointing earnings report. Expedia also fall more than 8% due to revenue below the expectations. So right now, within 70% of the S&P 500 company reportings, 70% of those companies beat the analyst expectation for the quarter, right? We know that this expectation, I always tell people out there, right? Expectation is adjustable based on how they feel the economy. So if let's say they adjust lower, it's easily to hit the expectation. But it's really good. It's either you depend on your chart or you really go in depth and study wise. Don't be fooled by the just on the surface data itself. All right, so let's take a look for this week. Things to watch out for. Firstly, just to watch out. I think there's a news. Okay, I think I did save it. But anyway, this Google is one of the news that caused the Google to come down. There's one news, right? Let's talk about this ChatGPT first. This ChatGPT is what I'm actually going to put into this special stocks, which I'm going to mention, right? I think ChatGPT, I personally played with it. I think it's the futures that people will be going crazy about it. All right. So if you have been using ChatGPT, you know how strong this AI can be, and we know that ChatGPT, right? Microsoft actually bought this OpenAI is under the OpenAI GPT, right? I think they spent quite a billions on it, and because of that, right? Google then launched want to be competitive, right? Then launched this Bard AI, but it doesn't perform as well as ChatGPT, and that causes the market to drop. All right. So I think some of the employees actually slammed the CEO, say that, you know, they is out of sudden that he actually mentioned out this bug announcement where it's not ready lah. So it's a bit too rushed and causes the market to lose a few millions of market shares over the last week when you can go and see how Google performed in the stock itself. Okay, so because of this chat GPT, right, not only it caused the market to spike up, we will look at the share uh, individually, but it also caused a craze, sorry, it also caused all Chinese market, right, to go and speculate related industry or related stocks. So if you go and read, right, you can see that uh, people start to aware of this AI, so they go and find out any company that is related to this AI, they go and speculate the shares. So that causes a couple of the shares even went higher, whereby the company actually stand out and say that their system is not ready, such as like this ChatGPT. So, but I heavily recommend on this stock later on. We will look at the chart and I will go more detailed explanation on it later on. Okay, so this is what uh, things I think going forward, perhaps the next 3 months, the whole market will be looking into it because why? Not only on Google, not only on Microsoft, not only on this ChatGPT, there are many other firms like Baidu is also looking into it. So you can see that Beijing-based entertainment software company Kunlun Tech plan to incorporate ChatGPT in their web browser Opera. I think Baidu there is also trying to create their own ChatGPT. I think Tencent also coming through this AI route. Okay, so this is the most the fancy stuff at the moment, whereby after the metaverse, correct? Whereby after the metaverse. So that's why I think that metaverse is not ready yet. But ChatGPT just formed. Okay, so we look into it later on now. But there's a lot of things going on this ChatGPT. You know, even tech skeptics don't expect a buzz on it. But I think if let's say you're looking at slightly long term wise, this should be the counter that we can nibble a bit or do a bit of investment for long term to see where it can go. Because I think if let's say you just do a small investment, it's still worth it that Microsoft pour tons of money into it, right? To to buy over or to cooperate with this ChatGPT in their pin website. So I think this is the where we should go to. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look at some of the counter. So firstly, we go through the index itself. For index, right, this is the Dow Jones. We can see the last update is 24 December. Is still speculating within this symmetrical triangle. All right, we can see that this is what I mentioned previously lah. So there's a few key area we should take note of is actually 34,000, 34,300 or 32,800. It's still within the range. It's very tight. So to make the chart clear, just go to another Dow Jones chart to make it clearer. So we'll withdraw from there lah. Okay, so we know that there's a few counter. This is a weekly chart, gentlemen, just to inform you. So there's a few point that we are actually very key on. Firstly is the 34,000, right? So 34,000 is around here. Okay, this is the first key point. I will put it near the 61.8% Fibonacci level lah. This Fibonacci is drawn from the bottom to the top. Okay, so it's near 61.8. So it's within the range, within this symmetrical triangle. Next is actually the 32,800, which is this area. Okay, I will put it as the 50% Fibonacci. So it's still speculating within this area. And Dow Jones seems to be the weakest compared to the other two index, S&P 500 and Nasdaq, which I mentioned earlier, because that two counter, right, that two index actually spike up, while Dow didn't spike up at all. Mainly is because that two is heavily oversold previously. So let's take a look over into the Nasdaq and S&P environment as well. But for down, right, as long as it don't break the 34,300, I see that it still play out with this symmetrical triangle. But I feel more downside, especially for the US CPI to come out. It might show more downside than the upside lah. So just watch out on this counter if you are watching. It's either play out, you can play once it break out or once it break down, or you can do some position here but do a tight stop loss. All right, so that is what I feel on DJI. Let's go to Nasdaq, right? For Nasdaq wise, okay, so this is what I draw previously, right? For Fed, I see maybe due to FOMO, everyone rush into the tech stock. Okay, but the earnings is still continue. Correct? It does not show any positive at all. But maybe due to the rate high, the what Fed say on last week, caused the market to speculate higher. Okay, but purely based on the chart perspective, right? 38.2 may be the first resistance. So it's very close. Can you see that? It's very close. That's why I didn't want to say that you will continue to break, or I didn't want to say that this is the start of the bullish. I don't want to put into high speculation because this first breakout, right? Although it first penetrate the first resistance level, but usually after penetrate, right, there will be some so-called sideways movement. Unless the market is too strong itself, right, it will continue to penetrate, and by next week candlestick it should actually close above 38.2, whereby it didn't happen. That's why I take this 38.2 Fibonacci as a very strong resistance level. So where should we see for Nasdaq? This will depend on the US CPI. It's very sensitive, like I say. So you can put this as a first resistance level. Then monitor that whether will it return back to the 12,000 round figure first. Alright, if we're able to close below the 23.6%, the 12,000 figure, we may see more downside. That means this will be a bull trap. Alright, to trap people in. Then we will still be speculating within this range. Alright, so that is what my thoughts for Nasdaq. Let's go to S&P 500. So for S&P 500, ideally, similarly, it's the same thing. Firstly, it touches the 50% Fibonacci level. So I don't see any upside, even though it closed a day, right? But the next day is below. So this act a very, very strong resistance level. This may be a bull trap after breaking this resistance level. Okay. So right now, where will I be looking at based on the US CPI? Otherwise, I will treat 4,000, the round figure, as the first support level before we will determine where it go. Okay, so this hit resistance, will it come back here? All right, to form the low before it go up. Okay, so this 4,000 is ideally the first support point to eye on it. Okay, ideally, so if let's say you hold long or you hold short, watch out for the 4,000 point first. Okay, if next week candle able to come and close below 4,000, it actually encarve this 2-week candle, you will be kind of like a downside as well. Okay, so this 4,000 will be a very important figure for us to watch out on next week itself. Okay, so that is on S&P 500. Let's take a look at individually. Firstly, we will go to Roku, which I mentioned. Okay, so this is what I mentioned. Diesel price to Nimble between 55, 58. So 55, 58. Right now we are actually at this price. Reason because it closed the gap. That's why. Secondly is I see some support at this level. But ultimately, if you want to buy in at 55, 58, please strict stop loss is 37. Right now we are going anti-trend. Firstly. Second, we are going anti-trend with the major index. Okay, it will somehow have some pressure on it itself. So if you want, unless we can share that the US CPI data showing a good sign, the index is U-turning, and then you may actually ride together with here. Or otherwise, if you want to enter at this position, I won't stop you. But please, like I said, nimble will do. Alright, don't go at one shot. Okay, right now you are against the major trend. Okay, next thing, just to recap, because this is what I shared in my Facebook page. That's why I just want to recap a couple of them. Okay, next thing is actually USDSGD. This is what I mentioned previously. For USDSGD, right? Let's take a look. So this is why I say the price to enter. previously I state that, I mean, you guys can read lah, okay? But it's not too late to buy in or too late to convert your Sing dollar to USD or buy into some USD dollar. Okay, so this is daily chart 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Previously we spike up. So for the last 5 days, it also went even higher. So if let's say you have changed the money, congrats to you. If you have long it, congrats to you. So you can see based on the weekly chart. Okay, based on the weekly chart. Okay, so there's one green bullish candle compared to my chart which I showed previously. Okay, so there is some profit taking over here. I mean, there's some profit for you to take if let's say you have long into the dollar. So there's a strength in the dollar itself. Okay, let's go into next counter. We'll be looking into HSI. Okay, so HSI, I just want to ask you guys to take note. All right, so let me see. There's one thing. I think I did wrote something previously. Just be caution on the Chinese index itself, because there is always a fear. I think I didn't write it down, but I think if I'm not wrong, I did mention somewhere to watch out because of the balloon. All right, anyone knows what is happening to the balloon? If you guys know, the US actually shoot down the balloon, right? So we can see that for the balloon itself. Let's take a look. So yes, so this is the flying object, right? So actually US went to shoot the balloon, and then right now US have some sensation on the Chinese tech company again. So this may cause some spike or speculation on the Chinese market itself, or perhaps it's overly overbought and there's some pullback immediately. So that's why I say my first resistance, which I state on 10 December, I say it's upside, right? 10 December, 22 to 23K is a next resistor to watch out on. So it went up to almost near to 50% Fibo, close to 23, and it pulled back. This is the weekly chart, gentlemen. This is the weekly chart. Okay, this is the weekly chart. So wherefore I see for the Hang Seng Index, if news is going to speculate higher, if there is no clarification on the balloon, right, I can go and read up on what is the balloon, which I mentioned over here. It's very interesting. Chinese spy balloon, right? Go and read up. So if let's say you are really keen, or if you are holding any Hang Seng, I would suggest that you take a profit first. Or if you have not do anything, then you can actually watch out for the next round figure. The 20,000 used to be the support, turn resistance, and then right now turn support, right? We will eye 20,000 as a first support level first. Okay, we will see where will this Hang Seng Index move before we determine other products. That means other related counter like Alibaba, all this kind of thing. So for Hang Seng, I see slightly of the bearish in it. All right, next thing we'll look at the market sentiments. The VIX, right, I hardly mentioned because it's once a time I will look into it. The last one I say is 2022. Okay, I say support is at $20. Hold steady for the last 2 weeks. So I think it's around here. As you can see, when the VIX go below 20, right, you will just pump, and then you'll find times to spike up. So if let's say we can see some green side, if this continue to go up, there is more drop on the index itself. Perhaps this is the kickstart of the US CPI fear of the market there. Okay, so go and read up what is VIX. It's actually market sentiments. If let's say the market is bearish, dropping, this will spike up. Okay, read it up if you want to know more about what is VIX. Okay, so next counter we will be looking into is Tesla. Tesla, just watch out because it hit the resistance level, right? Can you see support area? All right, this is the 100 and 200 support area. I say that okay, it's good to buy in. Okay, the weak candle hit almost 100 and spike up. Okay, I think I mentioned, but I didn't write lah. Okay, if you have been following, you should know because I'm monitoring. So I think I did mention on this counter. This is where it should be the support area. So it penetrate, forming this candlestick itself based on price action. Okay, this candlestick is not a good sign. Combining with these 3 candlestick is actually a reversal. Okay, it's a reversal candle. I can't remember the name. I understand I just passed my cert, but I can't remember the name. All right, but this shooting star is not a good sign. All right, it's a reversal. So if next week continue to see red over here, we may see that it drop below the 180 level, coming to this area next. Okay, so that is what I feel for Tesla itself. Okay, so that is my view for Tesla. We may see more further drop. Okay, later I will do some writing here. Or maybe I write here first. Sorry, gentlemen, just wait for. Okay, just wait for me. 12. Okay, today is Feb. Okay, may see more downside after daily price action candle showing reversal. Okay, okay, so I will just write it here, then hopefully uh, I will try to edit the comment again to make it nicer. Okay, don't want to take too much time. Okay, so next we will go into Meta. Let's explain and then why I recommend ChatGPT, right? Okay, for Meta, right, we know what is happening on Meta itself. Let's take a look at weekly chart. Okay, we know from here what caused the market to come down is actually when Facebook pick up and change the name to call Meta. We know when Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg say that they are going to metaverse this new technology, new industry. They are going to put and pour money into it on this new technology, but metaverse has not succeeded since then, correct or not? So that is causes the market to actually tank down because when you start a new technology, it's either you start burning the money first, then you enjoy the fruit later. Am I right to say? That's why you can see that when you want to start a new company, that's why when a new company starting when they IPO, right? Usually after they spike up, they will come down later on because it need to be stabilized. Revenue will start pouring in. People then start looking into the fundamental, whether it's stable, whether the crowd, the whole world they like it or not before they pick it up. So that's why I always say, right? I think I mentioned, all right, metaverse, meta gap down, all right, due to earning report, metaverse is burning too much cash before the product have any breakthrough. So if you're smart enough, right, you will only join in metaverse or join in meta after the metaverse is success. That means the product is formed, people start to buy in, start using it, user is there, user volume increase, correct? So that is why I go into ChatGPT. Let's take a look at this specific counter which I mentioned, right? Okay, so today I'm not going to cover Meta. Meta, we can see that it's almost gap play out. Going to cover the gap soon. Okay, so otherwise, let's go into this selective counter called C3.ai. Okay, C3.ai. Go and Google it. So this is what happened on Metaverse. Not Metaverse, so sorry, on ChatGPT, this new AI. Okay, so go and Google it. IPO at $42. Okay, this is the IPO price. Let's take a look. Okay, IPO price 42. Okay, IPO price 42. So the market like this concept of robot AI. It kept up, come down because things fail. Go below the IPO price, the lowest it go is almost $13, $10 because things have not started up. Like I say, right? It's a new concept, but doesn't mean it start to give revenue. Even at this point, it might not start making money. Fair enough. Right now, we can see that ChatGPT, this is a weekly chart, gentlemen. We can see that for ChatGPT, from $10 price, it went up to as high as almost $30. 3-4. Okay? This is because ChatGPT launched successfully, even though the data is backtracked in 2021 if you find out more. But firstly, this instrument or this technology success, all right, is launched. Microsoft invest billion into it. Where a big brother, they will just anyhow pour money, right? If let's say today you invest maybe less than 10,000, 5,000, or 20, 30,000, can grab this whereby a big company pour billion into it, right? You are actually a winner, firstly, right? Second thing, I always say that it's never too late to join into the party. IPO price is 42. When it launched, you missed the IPO. Right now, you are still below the IPO price. What are you waiting for? Am I right to say? So, like I say, if let's say this happened to Metaverse, happened to Facebook, if right now, next week, next month, Facebook, Zuckerberg stand, Metaverse is a succeed, it's a success. We launch it, we are start, users start to flow in. True or not? The stock will definitely spike, even a gap. Am I right to say? But it may not return to where the glory be, so it's still not too late to ride on it. You get what I'm trying to say? This is the future we are looking. Whereby you want to play on the technology sector, this is what you should be into it. So right now for this counter, I'm biased on the upside. I see more upside than the downside. The first target I'm looking at is at least go back to the IPO price, 42. Okay? Uh, if let's say this chart revenue, by the way, you guys can Google, billions of users is subscribing on this chat GPT, and not only that, they are the app that gain the most user faster than the popular app such as TikTok or Facebook, alright, or IG. They are the, you can go and Google more on it. They accumulate more way faster of user subscriber than the TikTok. You can see how hot is TikTok right now. I believe even your kids, you yourself is playing on the TikTok app, right? This has more user on it itself. So this spike up, all right, this recent spike up, don't be too afraid because you think that it may come out. Yes, definitely, they may have some pullback. So by using a Fibonacci retracement, there's few level that you can enter. Firstly, it pullback at 61, 8.8% is a good. Secondly, it's a 50% followed by the 38.2%. All right, so I think this is the futures market. You can say that I'm biased. You may find a lot of news, but I think by spending a few thousand or 10,000 for me to buy into a future, even it's a loss, so be it. All right, at least I manage my risk. So this is the three level that I'm eyeing to look into it. I to be said, I am into it already. All right, I have entered into it already. Don't say I'm biased. Don't say I enter beforehand. Let you guys to decide. I have bought into these shares already. Okay, so right now I'm eyeing on certain pullback. If let's say the price can drop to 50% or 38.2%, I may do dollar averaging into it. So you will tell me, Sean, when will I cut or get out of this counter? Okay, if let's say you are more on the safe side, perhaps $10 is your first final support level. If you go below it, you may cut it. But if you believe in Microsoft, you believe in this technology, if you are the user itself, you think it's way too good, then so buy into it, hold for a long term. I think the payout by this year, perhaps 42 at current price, there's almost one more fold. That means 100% return. I think it's worth the risk. That's why this is what I heavily recommend on this week itself. Alright, so that's all for this week weekly market update. I will write a proper nice write up on this counter and share into to my Facebook page. So remember to follow and subscribe my YouTube link or like and share in my Facebook page as well. Thank you everyone. Hope you guys enjoy. Bye bye.